You couldn't get a clearer example of this new apartheid that's being forced on Australians. The Victorian government has announced its finalists for the Victorian Public Healthcare Awards, and one of them is St Vincent's Hospital, because it now treats patients by race, and people claiming to be Aboriginal go to the head of the queue. As the government proudly explains, Aboriginal patients at St Vincent's used to have to wait longer for treatment, or so it says. But under this new program, First Nations patients are now seen more promptly than non-Indigenous patients. And that's because of apartheid in a hospital. Let me explain. If you're injured and you go to the emergency department of St Vincent's Hospital in Melbourne, you're going to be asked if you are Aboriginal. If you say yes, you get priority treatment. You don't even have to be Aboriginal. It can be as fake as Bruce Pascoe and so many Australians now who falsely claim Aboriginal benefits like free medicines. You tick that box, I'm Aboriginal, and at St Vincent's you're automatically assigned Category 3 status. That's the third of 5 categories in the triage system, meaning you get treatment within 30 minutes. And if you say no, you're not Aboriginal, you'll be assessed under the usual system, meaning you could be in Category 4 or 5 instead, meaning you could wait hours, unless you really are sick enough to be a 3 as well, or even a 2 or a 1. Now, this is so wrong. I mean, this is the kind of race politics that once made South Africa a leper in world politics, boycotted, riots against South Africa. But now our politicians and public servants, people of the left, seem to think there's actually a good apartheid. And like it or not, you are going to get it. Now, it's good. We did dodge a bullet when Prime Minister Anthony Albanese tried too hard, tried to change our constitution so that anyone claiming to be Aboriginal got more political rights. Not just the vote for our politicians in our parliament, but another vote for a kind of Aboriginal advisory parliament as well, with special powers. And 60% of Australians, of course, voted no. And that's lucky for us that you can't actually change our constitution without giving Australians a vote, a referendum. But our politicians, especially in Victoria and South Australia, are still pushing ahead with this new agenda of apartheid. And so are the bureaucrats and artists they finance. And you see so many signs now of this ugly division by race. I mean, 2 years ago, many of our top arts groups started to offer mob ticks. That's an 80% discount for people claiming to be Aboriginal for tickets to events at the Sydney Opera House, the Australian Ballet, National Gallery of Australia, Sydney Fringe Festival, Australian Open, and both the Sydney and Melbourne Symphony Orchestras and other arts events as well. The City of Melbourne even had posters outside its Signal Arts studio telling whites they weren't welcome inside. Said this is a safe black space. And if your blood is of the settler, please respect our request not to enter. Many universities have so-called safe spaces too, Aboriginal-only centres or study rooms. And this new apartheid is now so common that most Australians now just blindly accept that we also have sports teams picked on race by our top football codes, so that we see actual competitions of race pitted against race. I mean, it's obscene. More seriously, of course, South Australia 2 years ago created its own Aboriginal-only advisory parliament, the First Nations voice of the parliament. And Victoria has its own First Peoples Assembly of people identifying as Aboriginal, supposedly representing other people identifying as Aboriginal, of whom just 8% in Victoria who can vote actually bother to. That's how undemocratic this race politics is. The South Australian voice got only 10% turnout. What's more, Victoria's Parliament is expected to vote this week for a treaty and yet more powers for that First Nations Assembly, First Peoples Assembly. And what follows from that, look, you can only guess, but it isn't going to be good. I mean, preferential hospital treatment for one race, that's just a taste of what's to come, I'm sure. Why not, preferential ambulance treatment, depending on your race, preferential school enrolment, perhaps lower taxes for one race. Look, the whole thing, it's essentially evil. It really is evil. Dividing us by race. I mean, has any of this agenda brought Australians together do you think, in the last decade or two? Or has it in fact driven us apart more and more? But that's apartheid. It really does set people at each other's throats.